Hello, everybody. So today we're going to be going over goal setting. This is going to be more applicable towards you guys training your clients and making sure that they have proper goals established before going into the new year. And just overall establishing goals and understanding what the research shows that works better for clients is going to help us maintain clients, keep clients on the roster, and overall get them to those goals a little bit more effectively. Starting off, what does the science say about setting goals? Resolutions sometimes get a bad reputation, but overall, we see within the research that people who set goals around New Year's and New Year's resolutions are more likely to attain those goals. So, might be more of the implication of, hey, if you're going to set a goal, you're more likely to set a goal than somebody who, or accomplish a goal than somebody who does not set any goals. Those who set goals were happy with their progress at 6 months compared to those who did not set goals. And so New Year's resolutioners report higher rates of success than non-resolutioners at 6 months. 46% of the resolutioners were continuously successful compared to the 4% of non-resolutioners. So some people setting a goal, writing it down, whatever, putting it out into the world, we're more likely to attain said goal. Now, how to set goals for actual growth. Smart goals are overrated, they're overplayed, they're done. All right. So this is more about smart goals are more corporate types of goal settings for progression in terms workload or compliance and that kind of aspect. The best way to do it nowadays is hierarchy goal setting. Hierarchy goal setting is when you start broad and then you work your way down to smaller and more specific goals. An example we're going to show that on the next slide. As we become more and more specific on how to achieve our goals, it is important to set multiple smaller goals that eventually add up and ultimately lead to the larger goal. Now, this is seen here. Now, in this chart, we see, hey, this person wants to be their ideal self. They want to be healthier. But what does being healthier really mean? So then you got to break it down for me. You're like, okay, does that mean we're going to be in good physical shape, mentally, nutrition? Other goals could be like also like pain reduction. What we'll do is we'll go from one of those goals. So like say for instance, someone wants to eat better. Okay. So they want to be more, have a healthier diet. We're going to start tracking macronutrients. We're going to start tracking micronutrients. We're going to start monitoring overall body fat composition. There's a lot of different things that you can do to break each of these goals down into these smaller goals. And once the client understands these a little bit better, they're going to have a better understanding of what they necessarily need to do to achieve this goal. Therefore, they're not going to be lost and be like, oh, well, I'm going to be eating healthier. And when you have a broader goal like that, it's a little bit easier to be aloof about it. Next thing, so this is also research backed, approach versus avoidance goals. If you have a goal where you say you are going to do something, you're going to set out and do something, that is more effective on the client than saying, hey, like, don't do this or avoid this. Instead of being like, hey, stop staying up so late, for somebody who has poor sleep hygiene, you say you are going to now start setting a bedtime around 10 p.m. or you're going to be setting aside screens 1 to 2 hours before bed. You're going to do something rather than take something away. So study shows that those who set approach goals are far more likely to achieve them rather than avoidance goals. And approach goals are well associated with greater positive emotions, thoughts, and self-evaluations, and greater physiological well-being. In contrast, avoidance goals are associated with fewer positive thoughts and greater negative emotions, because people tend to beat themselves up a little bit if they're saying like, hey, I'm not going to do this, and then they do it, and then they feel like, oh man, I'm a terrible person, or I can't be compliant with set goals. Mastery versus performance goals. So with mastery goals understand that failure and backslides are part of the process, that it's okay to make mistakes, and it's going to be looking over a wider journey rather than performance-based goals. Performance-based goals are what you're going to be getting at work or, in a corporation. We're going to be taking a snapshot of like your monthly productivity, and that just gives you a small understanding of where the person is at. So mastery goals lead to improved self-efficacy. Struggles along the path to completing a mastery goal are seen as a natural learning process. So we accept the mistakes and we learn from them, we adapt, we grow. more so than, oh, you know, you made a mistake, therefore you are not going to achieve said goal. Failure of a performance goal may be internalized as negative self-talk. It could also lead to a decrease in motivation and emotional well-being. Like we said in the previous with the approach versus avoidance, we don't want to be beating ourselves up if we're not achieving our goals. We want to allow a little bit of leniency, and that's something that we'll see also later on. So difficult goals need a certain level of intrinsic value to complete. That means like it's going to be hard, but this is going to be something that is very important to the client. That is why they're going to be wanting to achieve this. Reaching certain milestones for a difficult goal will improve self-efficacy, but repeated failure of a difficult goal could dissuade an individual. So making sure that the goal is difficult, but not too difficult. And that brings us to the Goldilocks method. You don't want it too easy where it feels almost laughable and that the client just doesn't even feel compelled to even complete it because it is so easy. But you also don't want to make it so difficult that it's almost an unobtainable goal. For example, somebody saying like they want to build like 10 to 15 pounds of muscle in like a month or something like that. And so this brings us back to allow the flexibility on the goals. So like, you know, they can make mistakes, they can backslide a little bit, but like making sure that they are still motivated and persistent towards achieving that goal. As we all know, things happen in day-to-day life. So if somebody's not able to work out as consistently, you make sure that you have backup plans established for them, and you make sure that they are ultimately going to get back on track. And so just allow flexibility for the goals. So making sure that the client understands that, you know, there is room for error and they can backslide a little bit, but at the same time that they need to stay compliant and need to stay on track for as much as possible. But when life occurs, they understand that like, hey, this is just a small roadblock within the ultimate scheme of things for achieving the broader goal. Implementation intention. Now this is really cool. So this is the why, when, and how a goal may be attained. This is a great way of self-regulation for clients. And you can maybe print them out a sheet such as this right here that shows them like, hey, I will do this habit at blank time of day in blank place. So I will work out at Lifetime Fitness in Westminster. And if you know, say something's like, if I get sick, then I will rest and take a day off, or it's like, or if I can't make it due to work, I will do a home workout, stuff like that. Just finding different avenues for clients to continuously adapt and still achieve the goal in the broader scheme of things. Overall, start broad, go small, set more goals where you are tackling the challenge. You're doing the approach goals, difficult goals over easy goals, but make sure they're not too difficult. Mastery goals over performance goals. So making sure that you are understanding that failure is part of the process and that you will have slip ups and you'll eventually get back to where you need to be. But ultimately you're working towards that ultimate goal. And then use implementation intention as an additional way of setting goals. So ultimately you're going to start off with your client. You're going to go over the broader goals. You're going to narrow them down to more specific goals. You're going to give them maybe 3 I wills. So being like, hey, I will go do this. I will do this. So I will work out. I will track my calories. I will do this. And then set the implementation intention where you're going to set up any sort of precautions for those roadblocks. These are my sources. If you guys have any questions on these, I highly suggest reading these sources as well in these research papers. This is all backed by peer-reviewed research. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hope this helps.